Alright, so I'm here at Queen's Park. This is not normal. We drive past it. We talk about Queen's Park, but see how they have all the cars. You can't stop anywhere here. You gotta skirt right past it. It's most of the time blocked by all these trees when they have leaves on them. Those cars are whipping around that corner. You can already tell because that's somebody died right there. Oh, I think that's what those are for. But they kind of hide it, in my opinion, because it doesn't make sense. This is a crazy building. And look at that big green thing. The roof up there, it's like a crazy pyramid with two crazy tips on it. This is for those killed in action. But look at that building. That building is crazy. Crazy building. That's not for those killed in action. That's what it says right there, 1885. Officers and men who fell on the battlefield in 1885, but I don't think so. And I'm gonna show some other cut knife it says right there. Those are just added later to that monument that was already there, in my opinion. All this is underground. All this is stuff underground. It's probably connected to those big... That's a huge structure. It's a weird shaped building. But look up there. It's strange. And this building is strange. There's a bunch of stuff carved into it. There's a bunch of weird monuments. It's huge when you stand up here. I didn't look up. I should look up what year things are built or designed or whatever before I do these videos, but it's an old stone building. And that building across the street is a crazy building too. All those things are attached. It's all one building. So there's the cannon. Somebody took the time to carve all that out in the 1800s or 1700s or 1600s. Has all those Greek gods or whatever up there. And it's pointing directly down University. That's the importance of where things are being pointed. It's pointed straight down University, geometrically. I'm in a wind tunnel right now that is so geometric. Over there's some huge old buildings. This is all University. That there looks like a church. I'm gonna change the make it bigger. Yeah, so there's the cannon, there's the... It's the coldest day. It's minus, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 Celsius right now. There's the statue of the Queen, but this is where Doug Ford works. The Legislative Assembly of Toronto. I learned I should pause a little longer sometimes. Really wild building, but this is not the whole point of this tour today. That's all University of Toronto over there. That's all the castles, as they call it. And I'm intrigued by those buildings over there. I looked it up today, I forget what it was called, but those are all attached. It's wild. It says 1892 up there. So who can prove that? Look at those the like devils carved into the walls. Who can prove that it was built in 1892? Who was here in 1892? Whose great grandparents or grandparents were here and remember and go, oh yeah, I remember when they were building the Queen's Park building when I was a kid. I went and watched them build it. Put gargoyles up there. Watched the horses and buggies pulling up with all the stone on them from the stone quarries, and all the master builders standing around watching the thousands of workers who nobody's ever met or talked to. And then you have this wild, wild building. Cannons in front. So right over there, the corner of Wellesley and Queen's Park, I'm gonna go get the car. I'm gonna move up to the next spot, but see back there, it's still, this is all one huge, huge building that's even bigger than you think because it's clearly buried. So, there's subway and everything, I know. I don't know where the subway goes exactly. I don't know how to find that out, but Whitney Block, Ontario Government Building. There's another name, I can't remember. This is like a fallen soldiers monument. Not this behind me right now. This is a fallen soldiers monument. And it goes along with my theories of what's up there, of undergroundness. It could just be subway. It could be easily explainable. But why is that on top of the subway? Why is that on top of the subway? I don't know how it works. This could be like a venting system for the subway. I don't know, but you can see the unnatural grade in the hill. So that building could have potentially been way, 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 way bigger. I don't know. So that's the side of those buildings that I said are all attached. So that's how deep they are. So there's 8 of those pieces if that building wasn't there, although it looks pretty old too. In the 1800s, that would have been 8 sides, I guess, like kind of 9, like a crazy. And then there's the Queen's Park, but why is this pointed right at Queen's Park? I like the stonework of that. That's looks kind of like a fort with the rounded stonework and everything. But then they have this statue that's just looking at the building. It's just pointed directly at it. And so that building that I was just at, that's the kind of lighter brown colored one there, but behind it is like a dark red one. The stone, the bricks are different colors. So that structure is also like just as long as it is wide. I'm at the back of where I was, and look at that building. That was all built in the 1800s, and then they just left all of this empty because it's not structurally sound to build on. Old trees, untouched for hundreds of years, because all under layers of all underground. And I know there's subway. I do know that there's subway running like pretty much directly through here, but not in the 1800s, and not the whole thing. And it's just, it could go deeper. Look at the lion heads. So those, I'm curious about the coloring of the stones. I think there's like, because I was looking yesterday, there's such a thing as rubbed bricks. Rubbed bricks. See that door right there? It looks small. That door should be at least down to those stairs, but at one point it was probably, could have been way deeper. Hundreds. It could have been way, way deeper. Ooh. And then there's more building back here. Puts Castle in a shame. And then speaking of Casa, these are all castles. These are clearly castles. And they run the university students through. If you owe $50,000, your family's depending on you, you have the fake money control system that they gave us, you're not paying attention to the buildings that you're going to school in. You might be a little bit, but you guys are, university students are all focused on money and career and all that stuff that it's the same mainstream people who watch the mainstream news, who do the mainstream pushing, the mainstream voting. And it's all a big, stupid puppet show to distract us from the reality. So all these people that go to university here, they all become the mainstream people who listen to the mainstream science and the mainstream propaganda. These are all the people who are in charge of society, who we all look up to, who are the successful people who went to school in literal castles and didn't even think about it. Didn't even think, how'd they do this with a horse and buggy? How'd they do this before the car was invented? Why am I going to school in Harry Potter? And then they put out the Harry Potter movies, which is exactly the same thing. It's propaganda. It's mind control, so that all the kids who go to school here, before they have a chance to think about it, they already have all these Harry Potter fantasies and all these Christmas time fantasies and all these prince and princess Disney fantasies that makes them think that somehow this type of shit is normal. Look at that building. That is not normal. That is not normal. And all of this is hollow underground too. This is downtown Toronto. That's the University of Toronto, where all the cogs go to school, take pictures, get married, and don't think about the reality. That's an old crazy church. That's an old crazy church. That is some Greek Roman crazy. And that's not normal, guys. You think it's normal because you went to school here. You think it's normal because you came here as a kid. That is not normal. To be directly beside, think about how this would have looked in the 1800s. Think about your great-grandparents getting off a boat from their little farms and being brought here and saying, this is your new home. We built these last year. We built these in 1898, and then your boat arrived in 1903. That's just the way it is. And then their kids believed it, and then their kids believed it, and now you guys are believing it. Well, I don't believe it. I do not believe that this is normal. Look how black is the fires. All the places got burned down. They went around, they ransacked, they burned down everything. They buried stuff in dirt. It wasn't a mud flood. This stuff was not a mud flood. This stuff was purposely buried by dirt, by big truckloads of dirt in the 1800s to cover up buildings that are 1,000 years old. This is Hart House. This is not a university. Look at that building back there. And this is even smaller than it really would have been. They did not build this with a horse and buggy in the 1800s. It's impossible. And then all these university students come here and they just believe it for some reason. They think that this is normal. This is a real castle. I could go in there, but I didn't pay for parking. I should get back to my car. About 10 minutes. I think I've been. Looks like I've been 10 already, so it's not bad. Just walking past castles. It's normal because you went to nursing school in a castle. And you went to church growing up in a castle. And you think it's Christmas. You think it's Harry Potter. So you think the castles. You think they built these with horse and buggy. 1800s. You can see the CN Tower in the background. There's another huge old building right there. couple of them that I can see. So back there is where that residence that I posted a picture of is at, and that's where I'm gonna finish off the video. If you go down this street, oh no, right there, that tall building in the distance, around there is Sorbera Hall. So I'm gonna go over to Sorbera Hall, and that's where St. Basil's Church is at, and I'll probably finish the video around there. So that's where Doug Ford, that's where selling hash gets you. Kenny selling the same hash got Kenny and Spenny a bunch of TV shows in Hollywood. And it got Doug Ford and Drake doing rituals in the fucking tippy top of this building, in the basement of these catacombs. Dead bodies, bones, fucking death all around. Oh, who knows what's buried under here. What these crazies do. Well, if you want to know what the crazies do, you can see it right there. That's not a statue for the oppressed. That's a monument to who had to die for them to take this over from its original owners, from its rightful owners. Regis College right here. These are the rightful owners of these properties, of these buildings, of these structures that are geometrically positioned at the tip of University Avenue. This is not normal. Oh, that person has a... What? Is this supposed to be us? I think it's like all the generations coming up from the underground. It's using poor people to... That's not easy. That looks like that veiled painting from the, sculpture from my lunch break episode. That veiled one's crazy. So they're wearing modern clothes. This one's got high heels on. She looks like she's out clubbing. She's got her purse. That's wild. This one's weird too. And it's pointing directly at that old building. Drake's not the only one doing weird shit. Diddy's not the only one doing weird shit next to shit that looks like this. That shit's just a distraction. They use the pop stars, the celebrities, to make you think that it's not more organized that it's not your peoples that are doing this. That's crazy. That's like a little kid. That's crazy. These people like are like, please, please, Doug Ford, help us. That's fucked. Pointing right there at those buildings. And then they can stick up a plaque saying it means whatever they want it to say it means, but I don't buy it. Personally. It's super old, burnt down, Toronto fire. What was the Toronto fire? 1914, I think. Big, big, big structures. Okay, I'm gonna go to St. Basil's. So here's one street up, not very far at all. That's the empty side of Queen's Park. And there's this big structure here. Carr Hall, I think it's called. I don't want to make it too long, but those are some cool trees, and that's some interesting red brick over there in that old looking building right there. Same red brick as here, same red brick as Queen's Park. Same, I don't know what that stuff's called, shingle? I don't know. A lot of similar qualities. But in here, you drive past it, like that's the university students' library, so they don't think about it. They're panicking about their classes. They don't think about, see, that's buried under there. That's clearly used to be way, 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 way taller. And then you come in here in little Harry Potter land, and this is all their residences. And that is Sorbera Hall. Right there is Sorbera Hall, the white, yellow ones in the background. I'll go there in a sec, but they truck all the university students, they run all the university students through here because they think it's Harry Potterville. They think it's Harry Potter land. And that's that huge building that I was at yesterday. Okay. Shoot. I'm gonna have to make this in a few different parts because I got multiple places to go and I didn't lock the car. But speaking of buildings being attached to other buildings, look at that. Just look, this is Brennan Hall. So it's all exactly the same color as that shit over there. There's this old house here, red house, and then that's a buried church right there, St. Basil's Cathedral, St. Basil's Church. The Phelan House. My car looks fine, nobody's looking at it right now. That's the big buried cathedral. So, and this is Sorbera Hall. That's all Sorbera Hall right there. So, Sorbera Hall was built by my great-grandpa's brother, Sam, who built a lot of Toronto, a lot of Ontario, a lot of Southern Ontario, I guess. But that's part of all my interest in all this stuff. Is if this is a buried church right here. And this hill, this ground that I'm walking on, this steep hill right here, is all some underground catacombs or whatever. Then my grandpa's brother knew it. He supposedly built all this. Right? So it's half buried right there. Dedicated to the memory. Strawberry Hall. So all this is Queen's Park, castles, University of Toronto, buried buildings. All this was covered in a whole bunch of dirt. All this looks like military Basilian Center. See, this is all the church, and that's all the university. But that looks like military. That looks like what's it called? Oppressive architecture. Oppressive architecture. And this is basically a continuation of Queen's Park. Built exactly the same. Oppressive architecture for the university students while they're going to school in castles, while their residence is in castles that were founded. And you can look a lot of these up and where they built. Not these houses, not these red bricks necessarily, but Queen's Park, the Ontario government buildings, Robarts Library, this big thing. They're not what they say they are. They served a purpose in the 1800s that is not just government and university related. Whatever it was. These are repurposed buildings that were founded. Look in the background. You can see, I guess I could do this. Look back there, look what you can see. There's another huge, weird structure back there too. They're all over the place. There's too many of them. Right there is the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, that people just think, oh, this looks all Roman and Greek and Egyptian because it's a museum, and Chinese. It has the shushu's, the what's it called? Foo dogs. The exact same foo dogs in front of the Royal Ontario Museum is the same foo dogs in front of the Don Jail, pointing at the old Don Jail for 200 years. Been pointing at the Don Jail since the days where they were just torturing people and putting what's the movie in the mental institution? You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the name right now, but zapping people's heads, putting shit on their heads and zapping them. Mind control, torture, openly, actively. It's not a secret. That's what they were doing at the Don Jail. Recent, like not even a long time ago. And they needed another building like this in the 1800s. Why do they need this one too? Like, Queen's Park is not just the only building. This is not Harry Potter. Harry Potter was a distraction from all these other buildings for the real true reason that all these buildings are here. See all those stairs that go down? You think they made those little those little columns right there? Those columns would have gone all the way down to these stairs. These stairs were all built to hide the columns, to hide the vastness, the true vastness. The truth shall make you free. Well, then tell us the truth. Who built these? And why? These university students don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're out there dancing. They don't know that they're going to school in Toronto's buried history. Why did they bury Toronto's history? I gotta get back to the car. They didn't just build this in 1898 with horse and buggy before cars were invented. See, the engravings are gonna be a part of my grand plan. It says the truth shall make you free right there, but that wasn't carved by the same people who carved those gargoyles. You can see it's different. So they carve Ontario building or Ontario government or something on the buildings, but that's the same as carving Thomas and Sons Electrical. See, that building that I posted yesterday, it's all of this around me is all one big building. One big building, and they run the university students through it. And they sit out and make TikToks. But this stuff's not normal. This is a castle. This is not built just for university students. And see, it's hidden. Honestly, it's hidden because because this is all that same color. If this was all one building, that would be crazy, crazy. But it's at the end of this one-way dead-end street. No exits and stuff. They're definitely not drawing people's attention to any of this. This is all like in the middle of a very blocked. You'll never see this. People who live in Toronto, most people will never see this unless you're out for a walk, unless you're in school. Chances are you don't know that this huge building is here. And if you do, you had enough movies and enough propaganda built in so that you don't think about it. See, I talk about buried buildings. So if this road was ground level, if all that was covered in dirt, those bottom 2 floors right there that lined up with the rest of that, you would never know that that was a much deeper building. It would be very easy to just cover up those windows down there, call them, supply closets, or put the electric in there or something. So that nobody ever really thinks about it or questions what's back there. And now you got a massive building that's been chopped up, been buried into little pieces. You have people in the 1800s actively going out of their way to design roads, to design to design the city around these structures that were already here. I think I got frostbite. My fingers are killing me, even through the gloves. But 99% of the people who drive past this have too much on their mind because they care too much about money, too much about things, too much about comfort, too much about entertainment, that they don't care. They don't care that this doesn't make sense. And they're just driving past here and they're thinking about other shit. It's always weird to me how this building seems to get smaller as you get closer to it.